Should we try to do it?
Sure.
We are big
Love
hug.
Maybe something better than that. I don't know.
Well, should we start with a brief check-in or just dive right into our topic today?
I think we should just dive right in.
What would you like to
I'm feeling it.
choose? What would you like to do?
Well, something I've been really thinking about lately is like there's drama in my life because there's something that I want that I'm not getting. But with your help and your reflection, when I step back and look, is like there's a history of this. Like I can look back and see many times where I'm in the same place where I want something so bad and I can't have it and I have all this drama and I keep choosing that scenario over and over again. So there was this aha moment that I had where like maybe not having something is actually what I want. Like there's something juicy about the tension that gets created, that kind of drama by not having what I want. And really that's what I want. Like it was kind of a game changer actually realizing that. It took the wind out of the sails or kind of like unplugged the electric current, and that just sort of made me realize more about that. Like, what if not having what I want is exactly what I want? Because it creates drama and intrigue. And without it, I'm just kind of like a little bored.
So if you had what you wanted, are you saying that you would be bored?
I think so.
Would you
I
not
think
just
so.
want something new?
Well, then I'd want something that I don't have. Like it's the
Right.
wanting the thing. It's the wanting. It's kind of like when my kid goes shopping. I mean, not just my kid, but I notice it with them. Like I think we all have this. We want something, we get it, it goes in the house, and then we forget about it, and then we want something again. Like it's not about the getting, it's about the
The
wanting.
wanting. Yeah, I remember with the kids, they were always like, please, can I have a puppy? Please, 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 I'll take such good care of it. And then it's just like after the first day, like nothing, that is my puppy. So
Exactly.
yeah. I'm thinking about like there's kind of like wanting with pain, like wanting from a place of like stress and struggle and like I can't have and like why don't I have and making up stories around the not having or
Hmm.
that, or there's just drive and desire to get and to learn and to do and accomplish, that there's kind of like a little fork there, I think,
Hmm.
of like going for things that create struggle and drama and pain, unless you
Hmm.
reframe them the way that you did, of just like, wait a
Right.
minute, there's a little
Right.
hack. Like, what if I
Right.
like to not have what I want?
Yeah, it's a
Um,
total hack.
but then there's also like kind of looking at the things that we're going for. Like, what is this thing that I keep going after? And I'm just thinking with my coaching mind, is that we help clients set goals, make sure that it's aligned with their big why, with who they are and what their life purpose is and why they want that thing. And then kind of set little goals to reach the big vision, basically, like take steps towards a thing. And that kind of wanting like isn't based in not having, it's based in growth and
Right.
like accomplishment and conquering our fears and working with our resistances. I guess so from our perspective of the big love hug, we want to like make everything as empowering as it can be,
Right.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
So there was kind of similarly, this was a different hack, but similar. When my kid was little, and they would pick fights. They would like want to fight, and I would fight back, and it would be like this headbutting thing. And then I had this aha moment, like, oh my gosh, they're enjoying fighting. Fighting is recreational. It's a way of connecting. It's a way of engaging, and they're doing it for fun. I use they them pronouns because my kid is not binary. For those listeners out there wondering why my child is they, it's because they are. But once I realized that they were fighting for fun and I switched it for myself, like, oh, I can have fun too. And then suddenly we're fun playing and it becomes like more sparring than actual fighting. Then it became fun. So that is like another kind of hack. Like it's the same thing, but choosing to see it from a different angle changes the whole game. Suddenly it's more fun and less struggle and less suffering. Like that just was a total game changer. So for me, this is really kind of similar to that. Like looking at how I'm interacting and suffering in a way, and realize like, oh wait, I'm choosing this. So why suffer? Sort of coming at it with more, the word I love lately is equanimity. So like approaching feelings that are, typically happy or typically sad feelings, and kind of like neutralizing both of them as just like experiencing emotions. So feel this feeling of like wanting something without the anguish, just recognizing, seeing it as like, oh, this is just another human experience that I'm having.
Right. Or if there's anguish in it, seeing it as part of the bigger picture of, well, oh, I like to have this roller coaster of emotions. Something in me is choosing that. I choose it
Totally.
repeatedly, so it
Right.
must be for me, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. It's
Mm-hmm.
really cool, actually. And I feel like I don't have any big trauma suffering. There's not a lot of, right now, my life is pretty even keel. And I kind of feel like I'm in a practice world with this, like practicing equanimity, practice feeling painful emotions without getting sucked into the despair of it, because I know
Mm-hmm.
life is bound to get hard. There will be bigger things that I'm up against, and I hope that this practice will pay off, that when there's maybe like the death of someone I love dearly or something
Mm-hmm.
major happens, to have this time, this practice period basically, of approaching things with more equanimity.
It seems like it's kind of like whenever you're in you not being you, Jess, but just a person is in a place that we're not enjoying our perspective. Like that's a time to see like what how else could I see this? Could I get out of
Mm-hmm.
my box? How would Oprah see this? What would Buddha do? Like Kuan
I
Yin, come
love
on, give me some
those,
help.
those examples.
Yeah, just that our perspectives can be so narrow and so limiting. And if
Mm-hmm.
all it is the way that we see the situation, like going from seeing it as, I need this thing and I can never have it, and why, and what's wrong with me, to
Right.
like, oh, I enjoy a little bit of drama. My life's, I'm a little bored with my life. I want a little more
Exactly.
excitement. Uh-huh. Like
So,
last week or last podcast when I was talking about fighting with my partner in the kitchen and then recognizing that he was trying to draw violence out of me, and all of a sudden we could play, and it's like, oh,
mm-hmm.
this is what you want to do, let's do it. And so
Right.
different from being hypnotized. I think that's a really important word, hypnotized,
Yeah.
into the story that we think is going on. Or it's sometimes even contractual in a relationship, right? You get into this stuck place and it's almost like a contract of like, this is my perspective, that's your perspective, here we are again. But like, hello, there's a myriad of perspectives that are possible.
It's so freeing.
Yeah.
It really is. It's amazing. So
Yeah.
I have this, this is kind of my belief about what the heck is going on with humans on Earth. And it's not, it's not unique. I know a lot of people share this, but it just really helps me find this place of equanimity, or this place of curiosity. It's really curiosity. Before we took on these human forms, like the energy that we all are essentially is all one, right? It's like a big love hug.
Soup. Big love soup.
Right? Exactly. And it's kind of boring, right? It just is what it is. There's no duality, there's no struggle, there's no tension. It just is love.
Wait a minute.
So
I,
so
I guess I just want to challenge that. We don't know if it's boring. It could be like the most exciting thing in the world. I'm
okay,
getting out of that
it's
box into
okay.
another one.
Or cancel boring. It's one
Cancel.
experience. It's
Uh-huh.
it's that experience, right? And
Uh-huh.
then like the idea of being so separate in human bodies, like we can't appear to be more separate. It's an appearance, it's an illusion. We all know this. Like energy is energy, and we're not really solid, and we all share the same, the auras mesh, and like all this stuff that we know, kind of like we know about, but we forget. Like we really forget. We feel like we're alone. Everyone feels lonely, and not everyone. Lots of people experience feeling lonely and isolated, and don't know how to find connection and bridge the gap, which is just an illusion, because This is the contract that we signed when we entered these bodies, or these meat sacks, as one of my teachers once called us. We're just meat sacks.
Mm-hmm.
But our spirit is like, we're all connected. We're finding our connection. We're challenging ourselves by being so separated to find our way back to one another. Um, so all the experiences we have in these incarnations are just interesting experiences. Like, we get to feel it. We get to be elated and happy and joyful. We get to be anguished and sad and pain. We get to feel pain. We get to feel ecstasy. Like, we get to,
Yeah,
that's another game changer for me, for sure.
right. This life is a huge gift. It's
Huge.
a huge gift.
All of
I
it.
mean, I always go back to like, how many eggs did my mom have in her? How many sperm did my dad have in him? Like, how many people could my mother have had babies with? Like, I mean, just like the miracle of every single baby that comes to be, is
Mhm.
just kind of like, it's just an absolute miracle that we're sitting here.
It's true. It's totally true. I mean, it is. It's totally true. My mom wanted two kids. Her first was a stillborn, then my sister, and I wouldn't exist
Right.
if they didn't have a stillborn, because they were
Right.
she was done at two, and I would have been three. I mean, I know it's more complicated than that, but like, that's kind of a mind fuck. Can I say that?
Sure. I'm the same. My parents had three miscarriages. My mom had three miscarriages. And then if I
Wow.
wasn't born, then they would have adopted or done something different. And so me
Wow.
and my sister wouldn't have existed. Yeah.
Wow. That's such a trip,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then I'm just also thinking about the concept of dreaming up. I don't know if I've ever taught you this as a concept from process work. Probably I have. But dreaming up is kind of like, for me, let's say I have a trauma from my childhood, which we all do. Let's say I have one that's unfinished and unsolved, and it still kind of irks me under the surface, but in my subconscious and in a way that I don't totally understand. I will continually manifest people to play that trauma out with. And
Totally.
even if I manifest like somebody, they walk through the door and they're completely neutral, there's something in my energy field that needs to work this thing out. So I will kind of cast them in the role of, let's say, my father or my sister or somebody to work this relationship out. And so people get dreamed up. And then I, in my little mind, can believe that they're really doing this thing to me. They're doing it to me. Why is everybody always doing this thing to me? When in reality, I was the one who kind of created that situation in order to work it out. And for me, like, I'm not trying to blame myself in that situation. I'm just trying to take responsibility and say like, oh wait, if this is mine, what are my choices? As opposed to, here I am again with another abusive whatever, like, it's it's kind of like, oh, something in me deeply desires to work this thing out and to understand this and to heal from this experience. Here I have this person standing here. They haven't left yet. Maybe we can change the way we're doing it so I can actually work through it instead of spiraling the same old story, or let's say spinning the same old story, and then blaming life or the universe or how hard things are or what's wrong with me, anything like that. It's not that. It's all an exploration and an evolution, you know.
Absolutely. I feel the same way. Absolutely. It's like it's an opportunity to move through and heal some of the trauma from the past. Is a huge opportunity, rather than feeling victimized by the situation again. And one thing
Mm-hmm.
that you taught me, which I use all the time, is recognize when I have a strong emotion about something that happens in life. If there's a really strong emotion, generally it's a memory. This is a
Right.
memory. I use that all the time. Okay, why am I having such a strong reaction to something that shouldn't, like, it's not that big a deal, but I'm really reacting like, okay,
A
it's a memory.
trigger. Yeah. Yeah. When you
What's
get
what's
triggered.
underneath it? What is replaying in order to release it, in order to heal it, in order to move beyond it? And looking back, what
Yeah.
another one of my teachers said similarly, you're never upset about what you think you're upset about.
Same thing.
Same
Yeah.
thing.
This is a memory.
This is a
And
memory. It's huge. That's a huge hack. I love these hacks.
mm-hmm.
And then,
Yeah.
and then you change the relationship with the person or the situation that you're struggling with in the present, because it's not about that.
Yeah.
It's just an opportunity.
Usually what it is that there's a part of ourselves inside that's just still suffering, like we were saying before, that there's a traumatized part. And when that thing happens, we very quickly flip into that part. And so that's the part that is suddenly in awareness. And we think that we are that, and that is like we're back in the original trauma. So,
Hmm.
so to say this is a memory helps us put that part back as the 5 year old or 3 year old, and then also helps us resource ourselves in the present moment as our wise adult self who has survived in spite of that trauma and all the ensuing traumas and all the ensuing re-traumatizations of that, and connect to our resources and our present moment heart, mind, spirit resources, so we can help that part of ourselves. Like usually there's an internal relationship that needs to be forged where we come into the present moment and care for that part, because if it's still coming up as a trigger and a trauma, it still needs our help. And so many of us look for other people to soothe that inner child, and
Hmm.
then they will always disappoint us,
Yeah.
but we will never leave ourselves. Everybody else is going to disappear, they're going to die, they're going to move away, we're going to break up, whatever. But as long as we're like depending on somebody outside of ourselves to heal that inner child, that's we got claws out all the time,
Yeah.
trying to claw onto somebody and grab them and keep them. But if that's an internal relationship that's continually growing and healing, then our external relationships can similarly continually grow and heal. So
Mm.
a lot of people just like don't want to do it. They like really like it's an addiction actually. It's a relationship addiction that forms, and we
Mm.
get like attached and addicted to the person outside of ourselves to heal or touch or soothe that part, tell us we're okay, tell us we're good
Mm.
enough, whatever it is, we're
So where do
worthy.
you think that addiction comes from, and how does one break it? Is it just in this conversation, is recognizing it and seeing it and choosing a different way? Like it's, well, first you have to recognize that it's an addiction, which is hard,
Mm-hmm. First, that it's a memory.
right?
I think that that's the deepest, it's like sourcing it and going, and you don't have to like re-traumatize yourself by going back through an original trauma, but even just knowing that a part of yourself really needs something, and it's you're
Hmm.
never going to find it outside yourself. As if you find yourself continually going outside yourself, it's just time to like set aside a half an hour every day to do something that's specifically self-care. Yeah.
So for me, the this is a memory experience that comes up continually. I can source back to my dad. Like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of maybe this is universal, but a lot of my this is a memory goes back to family of origin, which makes
Yeah,
sense,
it's
right? I think that's
universal.
probably true for most people.
Yeah.
Um, so, and my dad has passed away, so the relationship, it's beautiful. Actually, I'm much closer to my dad now that he's passed away than when he was alive. Our relationship right now is awesome.
Uh-huh. Yeah, same
um,
with me and my mom, totally.
it's just, yeah, there's more access
Hmm.
to love, right? Like all
Yeah,
of the judgment and the story, they all just kind of went poof.
exactly. Yeah.
But I still replay stuff in other relationships that mimics the trauma that I felt as a child.
Hmm.
So is it just recognizing that and then going back to sitting with my relationship with my dad, or is it like stepping back from a relationship at all? Like I didn't get something that I needed or that I
Hmm.
wanted from my dad. There was some like a lot of big missing. So
Hmm.
is it finding it within myself instead of trying, so certainly grasping on other people that remind me of my dad, that's clearly the addiction to break because the source is my dad. Is it to go back and like be with my dad and imagining that relationship how I wanted it to be, or is it
Hmm.
not, or is it
Well,
sourcing it within myself?
I
What
think
would
that
you
they
say?
might be the same thing, what you just said. Um, we do wind up reparenting ourselves. Like when there's a missing figure, we develop it in ourselves because we know we need it.
Mm.
It's just that we usually give it to other people, that part of ourselves. So if what we really needed was somebody who really cared and was really close to us and really intimate, then we might grow the skill. We might cultivate the skill inside ourselves to be that for other people because it's so clear. That's what people need.
Mm-hmm.
Hello? That's
Right.
what everybody needs. That's what I need. The thing is, can we provide it for ourselves? If we're that good at doing it, does it have to be for everybody else, or can we also give that to ourselves? One thing I really, really love in realization process is that we feel our hearts, we feel our heart center, and at least for me, let it have some weight. So it's not just the heart coming up and out and the heart that gives to others, but the heart that also settles in and feeds ourselves, the heart that also some of it comes into ourselves and some can go out. And that's a really good image for myself, is to let my heart have a little weight. When people are depressed, I think it's the opposite and they need like a little bit more uplifting, but I'm not that. That's not my tendency. My tendency is give, give, give. And
Mm-hmm.
so this kind of image of my heart having a little bit of weight, so some of it's always kind of seeping back into myself, I really like.
It's
Yeah.
grounding. It's really grounding. The image I had is kind of like a paperweight, like a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful glass paperweight, which is feels good in your hand. That kind of weight is there something, I mean, like weighted blankets, there's
Yeah.
something about being held and being grounded and like a touchstone. Like that's the
Yeah.
image that I had when you said that.
Lately I've discovered that I like love to have my cat sleep right on my heart.
Hey, right.
And I hadn't thought about the connection with my actual heart, but I do have lots of symptoms right here on my chest from being so defended in my heart.
Mm,
And
mm,
I just like several times in the night I'll pick them up and I'll put them right on my heart.
mm,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah. And last night he like climbed over onto my shoulder and laid here. And I was like, wow, that's so amazing because I have some kind of shoulder injury. And I was like, animals are so amazing, so in tune. I just couldn't believe he did that of all places on my body to lay on,
Mm, it's so sweet. We had a
Yeah.
cat we called Nanny Cat.
Uh-huh.
And Jesse would wake up. So when I was pregnant, when I was really pregnant, Jesse would wake up and go to work in the morning. And as soon as he left the house, the cat would jump up in bed with me and do the cat thing where they like do the kneading thing,
The
like a
march. Uh-huh.
massage my back,
Making
and so
muffins.
Nanny Kitty is what we called her. And then she would stay with
Mm.
me the whole time. And then Jesse would come home the next morning. And as soon as he walked in the door, Nanny Kitty would hop off the bed and be like, okay, my shift's over.
Your turn.
I'm out.
Right. Next.
It's so sweet. So
Wow.
another crazy story, side note, there was
Mm-hmm.
this like hospice, I think. And there was a resident cat in the hospice, and the cat would go to the room of the person who was about to die. Like the cat just sensed it, like go and like sit on the bed of the person who was about to pass away, which is beautiful, but also a little scary. Like, right? Where's the cat gonna go
It's like
next?
cause and effect, yeah, where some people
Oh
dying just because
no!
the cat walked into their room. Oh no, he's here.
Right? So it's like this beautiful, like sort of bittersweet story, like horror story.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's
Yeah.
side notes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the power of choice, that's kind of our theme for the day. The power of choice. And if we can reframe our experiences, especially the ones that challenge us, by asking ourselves, where do I have choice here? Where do I have agency? Uh, it can make such a huge difference, even if the cat walks into your room.
Put the cat out. You can choose to kick the cat out.
Exactly. Or I'm going to be
Yeah.
the one who doesn't die because of the cat. Or I'm going to have the most beautiful death. Or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is. There's
Mm.
usually, it's like about uh, responding versus reacting,
Yes,
that
totally.
our trauma will react. Those are the triggers, when we're coming from a place that's not our whole integrated self, but a part. Usually when we react, it's a part of us.
Mm.
But if we can integrate and choose, make a
Right.
conscious choice, then we can respond. And it just feels better. It just feels better.
It does feel like you have some agency, like you're not a victim.
Yeah.
You're not a victim. You can make powerful choices. So I recently was talking to a new friend who was talking about he was for a long time really, really depressed. He went to the doctor and had some antidepressants, but he was going to give himself 3 months. He's like, let me see if 3 months, if I can make changes in my life to get myself out of this hole. And if after 3 months I can't, then I'll go to antidepressants. So he actually Googled how to cure depression. Like he made some really powerful choices. He took,
Amazing.
right? He made some choices and he literally Googled it and he did all the things on the list. It was like eat better, exercise, dance was one of them, like all of these really good things to do. And he did all those things and he's a totally different person. Like he really like when he told me this, I was like, really? Like he's one of the brightest, shiniest people I know, actually. And to hear the stories like, wow, you made that choice. You made that choice. Is so inspiring,
That is
you know?
amazing.
So inspiring.
I'm working with one of my clients, and she's been like flirting with going on antidepressants. And from where I sit, I don't think she needs it. I think other people have just been telling her, just go on antidepressants. So, anyway, we've been talking about grooves, and she was saying basically how, like, the depression or the negative thinking, it's like all this groove. And I was like, and the work that we're doing, we are building a new groove,
Mm-hmm.
but and the way that I said it, I just loved what I said. Because it's like created a new metaphor for me, is that when they build a new highway, they partition it off and the cars continue to drive on the old highway as the new highway is under construction, or as the new groove is being built. And so we're still using this bumpy highway. However, at some point, we can go over here and drive on the fresh new groove, but we have to carve those grooves first in the form of new beliefs, new perspectives, new mantras, new practices, new, commitments and choices. It's all choice.
Yeah.
And it's like, I told her, it's like, if you're not doing your homework and if you don't do the things that you say you're going to do, the highway is just still under construction. But
Mm-hmm.
if you do the things that we're doing, that's how you carve a groove. It's
Totally.
habits, it's
Yep.
patterns. That's how the bad grooves, the negative grooves, the challenging grooves, the suffering grooves get
Right.
created. It's just a channel that gets cut by lots of practice. We practice that thought, we practice strategizing, we practice believing from
Yep.
this side. So we have to build a new highway. But don't expect to, like, I was like, it would be weird if you were to just like wake up one day and just be like, right away, if out of nowhere you just have a new thought and all of a sudden you're on the new highway, because this is a groove and it takes a while to build a new groove. And I think that antidepressants, just like hallucinogens, can kind of show you, maybe for the first couple of days, the other side of the highway. But ultimately, I think if we want to live on this side of the highway, I really feel like we need to build that. I don't think that antidepressants are going to get us there. I know they save some people's lives. I think that they're really good for getting somebody out of a funk. But I hope some professionals are listening to this, people who prescribe medications. Have a plan for those people. Don't just put it on them for life, put them on it for life. It's not good for people's systems. Any person I know who has been on these kinds of meds long term, they have more problems, psychological problems, than most people I know. It's just a new groove gets carved that's like the medicated groove.
Mm-hmm.
If it's
Mm-hmm.
really working for you and you love your life and you're like, I'm at the top of my game, then keep going. But if you're suffering on psych meds, I really hope that people can get support. I know way too many people who are on these meds who have zero support. They just go in once a year. The guy, probably some white guy, signs a prescription, to keep it coming, so they can keep making their money and the machine keeps going. But I think it's terrible as a long-term solution. I really see those people that I know suffering,
Mm.
people who are on long-term psych meds. I'll get off my soapbox now.
Well, the vision I
I'll put
had,
my whale eyes away.
sit back, Aim.
Calm down, Amy. Calm down.
But I feel the same way. Like I was on antidepressants twice for short term. Both
Mhm.
times it was 6 months. One was I had postpartum depression, And then I had a virus that kicked me into hyperthyroidism. So I didn't sleep. I really didn't sleep for 6 weeks. And
Wow.
between that and postpartum depression, like I was a wreck. Like I was like, put me in a room, a padded room, and just let me be, because I was crazy. I was crazy. So antidepressants calmed the system down, and my thyroid righted itself, thankfully. And and then in about 6 months, I was like, okay, I'm ready to come off of them. And then another time too, when I was going through a hard time, and it was just like I just needed. So for me, the image I had of, instead of like getting out of a groove, like I was in a ditch, like I was in
Right.
a ditch, and the antidepressants picked me back up into a groove. It didn't get me out of the groove; it just got me from the ditch to a groove, or
Mm,
so then I was still in a groove, but I was out of the ditch.
great.
And there's
That would
other,
be great. I
you know,
wish that that's how it was used, to
right,
get people out of ditches and then combine it with therapy
yeah.
to help them build that new groove.
So this is another topic. This is definitely another podcast all in of itself. But I've
Mhm.
been working with microdosing psilocybin, and the difference between pharmaceutical SSRIs, is that what it is?
Yeah.
SSRIs, antidepressants, and psychedelics. You know, they do similar things ish, but the psilocybin, the microdosing psilocybin, isn't just going from a ditch to a groove. That's actually helping build that new groove, and
Yeah.
making those choices, and seeing possibility, and really grooving new grooves, which are really long lasting. Like the experience of my own, and then helping others um, find their own way through it. Facilitate small circles. I've been doing this for a while now, and the changes that I see in people are downright miraculous. Miraculous. And we're fortunate to live in Oregon, where it's gone decriminalized, it's about to be legalized,
Yeah.
which I just think is so exciting, so freaking exciting.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to be part of this movement. I can't even tell you. Huge. It's huge.
Using plants, using nature. I mean, this is the direction we need to go in,
Hmm.
is away from uh, big pharma and away from things that are synthesized in labs and, not completely. I'm glad for modern medicine and what it can do. But as like a regular daily thing to be popping synthesized things, we're like making ourselves into like a synthetic being, or we can open to the wisdom that's like mushrooms. It's like the wisdom of the universe,
Yeah.
and the wisdom that's encoded in us. That stuff works really well together.
Hmm.
And also, you don't have to do it forever. It can also be a
Right.
short-term thing, right? It
Yep.
can be like
Yeah.
get yourself out of your ditch with microdosing.
Yep.
I've heard tons of success stories about depression and anxiety being cured or helped by
Yeah.
microdosing.
Once you
Yeah.
learn how to shift the groove, then there's a new groove. Like I don't microdose all the time. I think
Mm-hmm.
I've done two times, like 3 months at a time, and I made new grooves that have stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this is my favorite new groove that I came across the other day. I was like trying to fall asleep, and my mind was running. Minds run sometimes when you're falling asleep. Like it's really annoying. Like that's when the mind starts thinking all these thoughts. And none of them were helpful. I knew nothing I was thinking was like worthwhile. It wasn't changing. It was just yammering, as my dad would say. That was one of his favorite words. Just yammering. So I actually said to my mind, okay, nothing you're saying is important. I don't need to pay attention to you, but clearly you're just going to keep yammering. Go on, keep yammering. I'm going to sleep. And I did.
Nice.
I went to sleep. Like, I was like, mind, you just do your silly mind thing. Yammer all you want.
Oh,
I'm not paying attention. I'm going to sleep.
that's
And I
great.
did.
That's great. So some part of you was paying attention to the yammering and you allowed the yammering to continue just without the paying attention to
Exactly. Exactly.
it.
It was so
Nice.
freeing and so funny. It was like, it was
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I shared that with my mom, and she actually found it helpful, and it worked for her too, and it's just making a choice. In
Yeah.
that moment, I made a choice not to pay attention to my silly mind. Let the mind do the mind thing. I can't stop it. Just do it over there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired. I'm going to sleep.
Right. You're exhausting me, mind.
It was just great, and it's playful. It goes back to
Mm-hmm.
like I'm not suffering in it. Like it just lightens it up. It just
Right.
lightens it up.
Right, you got
It's
out of the
great.
box. You pivoted, right? You found
Yeah,
a different way with it instead of
right.
just being captive to your mind for all night long and then waking up and being like, "Oh my God, my mind is doing these things to me."
It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
the
It's
victim
ridiculous.
things
Yeah,
are happening to me, which things do happen to people, but the way we respond, right? That
right.
was happening to you,
Hmm.
but it's what the part that you hadn't been looking at until you did is how am I responding to all this
Right.
yammering?
I'm listening. I'm paying attention. Like it matters. Like no,
Right,
no,
right.
nothing my mind is thinking at 3 a.m. really matters.
And it'll all be there tomorrow.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's never anything new, it's so funny. I
No,
mean, I don't want to say never, but so often, yeah, mental chatter in the middle of the night is just, it seems so important at the time, maybe, but it's just not really that helpful.
yammering.
Yammering. I like that word. It's
It's
like
so.
hammering with yams.
That's about what it is. That's about
Yeah.
as useful as it is.
Yeah, yams don't make very good hammers, do they? Mm-mm. I guess it depends on what you're hammering.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dad.
Hmm. Oh, yeah, I wanted to tell this one really great story that always sticks out in my head around this. And you probably know this story. It was about Cedar when maybe you were part of this group. Cedar was in Greenpeace and he was going door to door. And one guy, he answered the door. Cedar gives his little spiel. I'm from Greenpeace. The guy said, "Hold on a second," and he comes back pointing a gun at him. They wound up going to court when the defendant said, "You made me get a gun." Cedar said it. "I can't make you get a gun. I can't make you get a gun." We can't make each other do almost anything. And
Yep.
that's the power of choice. It was that man's choice to get a gun, and he lost the case.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Powerful.
So that's often with the power of choice. Yeah, I think about that. I can't make you get a gun. That's what it
Yep.
was. I can't make you get a gun.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's cool, Aim.
Yeah. We might as well have the best lives ever.
Right?
So we might as well know what we want and go for it and ask
Yeah.
for it. Hmm.
That's what I feel like too. This is it. I mean, maybe we don't really know, but this is it.
The rest is boring.
Who
Once we
knows?
get out there, it's
All
boring.
I know is this right now, and this is it. Something that I say and think all the time is like life is short. Our time in these bodies are short. Our time in these bodies that work is shorter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Right. In
what
a
are you
healthy body, if you happen to
yep,
have a healthy
right.
body, yeah,
What are you
enjoy it
gonna do?
today.
What are you gonna do with it right now, today? Like this is it.
Yeah. Right now,
Make it
here on planet heaven.
exactly. Make a good choice. This is it.
Yeah.
Choose well. Choose it. Just
Yeah.
choose it.
Yeah. Right. And a fun little exercise that people can do is just noticing all the choices that they're making right now, like right this
Mm.
second. Like I'm crossing my legs, I'm talking to you, I'm sitting in a certain posture, I'm choosing my words. I chose these glasses and this outfit. Those are implicit choices too. Um,
So
Everything.
on that note, I didn't run into her. I met a woman at the airport at the luggage turnstile, and she was dressed up. I mean, she just looked good, top to bottom. She's got a hat and this dress and her shoes and her jewelry. Like she was looking good. And I was like, wow, I said something. And she said, you got to put on something. So why
Uh-huh.
not make it a party? She
Yeah.
smiled. She had like a gold sparkle thing like on her tooth. She had a little star and a little crystal that was like glued
Yes.
on like braces. So she
Yeah.
smiled and it matched her outfit. She's like, make every day a party. Why not? Why
Yeah.
not? And I looked
If
at
you're
what I was wearing. I was like, I gotta up my game. And just like, why not? Why not feel beautiful every day? You gotta put something on, something that makes you like light up,
Yeah.
and then go spread that light around.
if that's what you like to do. If
That's
you
true.
like to like sit in the little corner and be alone, that's okay too. You know,
That's
it's just
me.
like
That's me
it's
coming
just a
through.
choice.
That's
Yeah, it's
me.
exactly that's what you want to do is go out
That's what
into the
I
world
want
and
to do.
shine.
I
Yeah,
do. I want a little sparkle on my teeth.
yeah. Yeah, but whatever you do, it's like
Right.
wholeheartedly, you know, and
Yeah.
choose it. Know what you're doing. Know what you're building.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's fun to dress up. I think it's fun.
I think so too.
Yeah. I love wearing yesterday somebody came over and she's like, "I love your hairdo." And I was like, "Different every day." Cuz every day I have a choice. What am I going to do? You know?
Exactly.
It's so
Exactly.
fun. I love
Yeah.
it when men shave their facial hair differently all the time. It's
Me
just like
too.
that shows you the power of choice right there.
Yep. For sure. If
Yeah.
I had a beard, it
Yeah.
would be different all the time. Although I have the
Yeah.
same hairdo every day, and I could certainly make different choices.
Not every day.
Uh, well, sometimes the bun
Just
is
down
lower, sometimes it's
sometimes.
higher.
Yeah, that makes a difference. Yesterday my ponytails were up here. It makes a difference.
It's just fun. It's just fun.
Yeah.
All right, Aim. This
Okay,
is great.
everyone. Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
always
we're
great.
sending